Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, and on today's video, we're going to compare two different fragrances from two different houses. I have Jadore Eau de Lumière, the Eau de Toilette, as well as Chance Eau Vive. So you're probably thinking out there, why is he reviewing these two fragrances? They are nothing alike. They are nowhere in the same realm. Well, you are absolutely wrong. I remember working for both of these brands when both of these fragrances were launched. Actually, I take that back. I was still working with Dior when Eau Vive was launched. And then after that, I went to work for Chanel. They had already launched this guy here, and this one was fairly new at the time. But both of these fragrances share a note that was very popular back then, which was blood orange. It was a trendy note, 2016 type of era, and both of these were very fresh, clean fragrances. So let's start off with the one that launched first. 2015 was the era of Chance Eau Vive Chanel. Gotta remember that commercial. It was pretty weird. It was a girl with bangs, red hair, and these big poofy skirts. One was a green skirt, one was a pink skirt, the other one was like a creamy skirt, and then the new girl, which was Chance Eau Vive, had a, kind of like orangey type of colored skirt. And that was representation of this. They were playing bowling with the bottles, and it was like but this fragrance was Olivier Polge's first launch for the House of Chanel. So his first individual launch, he had already worked with his father, Jacques Polge, on other fragrances for the House of Chanel and had helped him and assist him. But this was his first launch, and it was Eau Vive, which was a Chance flanker. So Chance is a very popular line for Chanel. Eau Tendre is their top seller, followed by the original, and then Eau Fraiche. And Chance Eau Vive, I believe, is the least selling one so far. I might be wrong, that's how it used to be back then. It was a very difficult fragrance for people to enjoy and love. This is what the packaging looks like. Just so you do know, mine is from 2017 era, which is a little old, and it has kind of aged poorly, if you will. Look at that. It's awful. I mean, Chanel, like I said, I've said this time and time again, Chanel gets away with having terrible quality when it comes to their packaging, unfortunately. But yes, it has aged very poorly. It is a round bottle. At the bottom, you get your plaque, and this is an Eau de Toilette formulation. They don't make an Eau de Parfum in this actual fragrance itself. All the other toilets are going to have this frosted plastic acrylic type of material with the double CCs at the top. Then you get your Eau Vive here, which means to live, which is chance, a chance to live, if you will. So we have four different fragrances in this range. We have Eau Vive, Eau Fraiche, Eau Tendre, and the original Chance. This is the newest one that was launched, at least in the Eau de Toilette spectrum. There hasn't been a new, label launch since then. They have launched Eau de Parfums for Eau Tendre since then, and they have launched a Eau de Parfum for the Eau Fraiche version of the fragrance as well, which I have done a review on. And yes, we have this guy here, Olivier Polge's first creation. What do you guys think of this? So the notes on this are going to be blood orange and grapefruit at the top. In your mid notes, you're going to get jasmine, and then in the base, we're going to get cedar as well as iris. So this fragrance is definitely an interesting fragrance because it does stay true to the Chance heritage, which is a very crisp and sparkly type of citric note with a powdery residue, which is very reminiscent of the House of Chanel. But they added, other elements such as the beautiful blood orange in this fragrance. Because all of the entire Chance collection is jasmine focused, so the heart of the actual fragrance to me is iris and jasmine mixed together. They kind of changed it up a little bit to the point where it's very different from what the other fragrances in this range are. This kind of smells like the Eau de Parfum, and they just decided to add blood orange to it and some touches of, some extra iris in it as well, which is not necessarily a bad thing. The problem that comes with this fragrance is that I think it was meant to be launched as a, youthful, more younger version of the entire line, kind of like what Eau Tendre was for the collection. And while it did do that, at the same time, what it actually did as well was, kind of confuse everyone because it has that beautiful, youthful blood orange note. But at the same time, what you're getting with this fragrance is that really old school jasmine note in here, which is going to kind of confuse you because you're like, is this a newer fragrance? Is this an older fragrance? What is it trying to be exactly? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it trying to be playful? Is it trying to be serious? Because it has both of those in it. So it has that playfulness that the entire Chance collection has, but it has that very, serious touch that Chanel does have with their fragrances. So that's why I think it's a little bit more of a tricky fragrance to wear. I know that some people out there love this fragrance. Don't get me wrong. I love it too. It's not my favorite in the entire Chance collection. I prefer Eau Fresh. That's my favorite one from the entire Chance collection. But I do really like this one. I do think that it was a very misunderstood fragrance. I think that the campaign didn't help either. I mean, playing bowling with Chance bottles and the girl, holding it on her face and going, Chance, Eau Vive, Chanel, was not a good look, in my opinion. But, this fragrance was, like I said, one of the first ones to really bring that note of blood orange into the forefront and really make it popular. And then in 2016, we got Jadore, Eau de Lumière, the Eau de Toilette. So if you look up online, you will be able to find that there's another eau de toilette listed. It's not the same one as this. This is eau de lumière, which is a lighter version, I'm assuming. So lumière means light, and so they decided to make a light version of the eau de toilette. I'm not sure, but they actually added blood orange to this one as well. So the notes listed for this online are going to be Damascus rose, as well as blood orange and neroli. You have to remember that in 2016, Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford was on top of the world. Everyone wanted to smell like Neroli Portofino, Sole de Portofano. All of those blue bottles were very hip, very trendy. Everyone wanted it. And I think Dior kind of saw that that was going on. And their biggest competitor, obviously Chanel, had launched a blood orange fragrance. So they decided to make a fragrance that was going to be a top seller because it's in this bottle. So Jadore obviously is their top selling fragrance for women, and they decided to launch a fragrance that's going to have neroli as well as blood orange to kind of capture both of those markets and obviously have a top selling fragrance. They did a really good job. The perfumer for this is Francois Demachy, and like I said, it was launched in 2016, and this is what the bottle looks like. Very traditional, Jadore type of classic bottle. They have changed these up a bit. I don't think that the Eau de Toilette has changed in packaging, but it is a nice packaging overall. That beautiful neck on the bottle is, very reminiscent of the classic Jadore structure. And at the top, you do get where it says Jadore. By the way, I want to give you guys a trick with these. I know I have ADHD, so bear with me. My mind goes from one spot to another spot. If you have a Jadore bottle, take this off if you, have some back pain or something. We used to do this at the counter all the time, by the way, and you grab this and you start massaging the area. So you can use a ball here to massage the area that hurts. It feels incredible. Like, I did not believe that, and my boss was like, yeah, we use it all the time for spa treatments, and I didn't know that. So that's a nice little trick. If you have Jadore bottles and let's say you're running out, keep this and use it as a massager. Really great tool. In the packaging department, I do think that Jadore does do it better. Dior does, really put some time and craftsmanship into their actual bottles itself versus Chanel, because although I think this is a very timeless classic actual, shape and design, I think that they obviously did not take the time to make this stain proof or make sure that this wouldn't come off essentially and get all ugly the way that it did. Obviously, because it is around alcohol and around oils, you really want to take the time to make things not, change in color or to get discolored or whatever the case may be. And Dior does do that. This is obviously plastic up here, but it is a very nice packaging. They are very solid bottles. I have dropped these multiple times. I remember at the counter, they would fall on hard, marble floorings, or if we were at shows or whatever the case may be, these Jadore bottles would get dropped and would never break. And I think that's because this is not a married bottle. So I will try to show you one. I think I have here Miss Dior. This might be a bad example too, but like Sauvage here, you can kind of see here, on Sauvage, this is an example. They grab two different spots or two different sides and they marry them together and glue them essentially, and you have those little stripes. Most of these brands will try to hide them. So obviously with the Chance bottles, you can't see it because there's that, big actual metal thing that's covering it. Other bottles are really good at hiding it, like, Miss Dior, because it's obviously a square bottle, so you can kind of hide it within the design itself. So you really can't see it on these, but you can kind of see that little stripe there. But they don't do that with Jadore. They actually create this out of a single block of glass because there is no stripe where they're marrying the bottle together, which is a very nice touch. It means that they spent quite a bit of money on the packaging here. It is mass manufactured, but it's not mass manufactured where they're grabbing two cheap parts and sticking them together. So both of these fragrances are absolutely beautiful scents. I prefer this guy here, Jadore Eau de Lumière, because it has that vibrancy of the neroli in it. It has that beautiful rosy touch behind it. It has a DNA of Jadore, which is that jasmine and the ylang ylang. It's really respecting the beauty of Jadore, the eau de parfum, and it's adding to it. It's adding a new philosophy, a new story, a new journey, which is that beautiful neroli, that beautiful blood orange in there as well. And it dries down very well. The notes in this fragrance are very well blended. I do like the fact that they do wear nicely as they start to dry down. They become a lot softer, more elegant, more creamy. That neroli in there is what really makes this fragrance, blend smoothly like a very nice glass of wine. And Chanel Chance Eau Vive does dry down to be a very nice fragrance, but the problem with this one is that it's not going to be a mass market fragrance that everyone's going to love and adore. I do like it myself. I would wear it myself, frequently when I worked for Chanel. If you are looking for a more unique fragrance from the house of Chanel and you like the Chance collection, then I would certainly say to check this one out because it does have that beautiful blood orange, but at the same time, do take into consideration that it is a confusing fragrance because it does tend to, like I said, it has that old and new, that young and old type of flair to it, which you don't know if you're going to be young that day or if you're going to be old that day. And I guess that could be a really good fragrance for someone that has an old personality. So a younger person that, feels like an older person, then this one would definitely be a really great fragrance. It does dry down to be very, very irisy and very jasmine-y. And it does have that blood orange that kind of just sticks through the entire fragrance. And it's not a sparkling blood orange in this one. It's just a very sharp and tart type of blood orange versus Jadot de Lumière, it's going to be a soft, delicate, sparkling blood orange in this one. This is going to have a tart version, so it's going to be a little bit more harder to wear, a little bit, more sour to the touch. And this one here is just going to be vibrant, soft, delicate, creamy. And I think that's what makes this fragrance so unique is that it's a very creamy, wearable, sexy fragrance. Both of these are around the same price point, but let me know down in the comments which one do you prefer. I like both of them for different reasons. If you're looking for a summer fragrance that's going to wear into the fall, then I certainly think that this one's a really nice fragrance. If you're looking for a spring fragrance that's going to rock your world in the summertime and really make you happy, it's just a fragrance that screams happy energies and good vibes. I would certainly say that Jadot Eau de Lumière is the one to get because it's a beautiful scent. It just screams happiness and joy. I think that they were going for that whenever they did the campaign for this, and they really did achieve it. It's a very happy, vibrant fragrance, but it's still classic, it's still sexy, it's still refined, it's still elegant, it's still very Dior. And I think that this one here is trying to do that, but it didn't quite get there, unfortunately. I think there's other fragrances by Olivier Polge for the House of Chanel that are actually better, like Chanel number 5, L'Eau. I think that's a beautiful scent. But this one itself is not my favorite one from him. It's not a bad scent. If you like this one, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm trying to be very constructive and, give it a nice critique where it's fair. But to my liking, this is not my number one fragrance for the House of Chanel, but it's not my worst one either. But it's not the worst one either, like Gabrielle. But I do love both of them. Like I said, if you were to ask me which one I would recommend for you to get someone or to get yourself, I would say to try this one first. If you don't like this one, then go and smell Chance Eau Vive. But let me know down in the comments which one you have selected, if you have picked either one of these, or which one you like the most. Also, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more fragrance related content. And I hope to see you guys on the next video. Take care. Until next time. Bye.